Hello again, it's Mr. Dixon, your too cool for school counselor, back with another episode of Mr. Dixon's Doodles. Today, we're going to talk about self-esteem. First, we'll start by describing what self-esteem is, then we'll talk about why it's important to discuss, and lastly, we'll talk about some ways we can try to build up our self-esteem. The phrase self-esteem refers to the things we think and believe about ourselves. The key part of this phrase is the word self. The good news about self-esteem is that we have the ability to control it. No matter what others do, say, or think, the only person who can decide how you feel about yourself is you. In order to better understand this, let's look at the differences you might see in someone with high self-esteem versus someone with low self-esteem. People with high self-esteem usually don't let actions and words of others negatively affect the way they feel about themselves long term. It might upset them for a second, but they bounce back quickly. People with low self-esteem are usually more impacted by the comments, thoughts, and actions of others. It's important for us to discuss self-esteem because unfortunately in life you will sometimes have to deal with situations and people that are unkind. We can't control the words, thoughts, and actions of others, but we can take steps to develop our confidence in ourselves and improve our self-esteem. When we improve our self-esteem, we're better equipped to handle these situations because when we feel good about ourselves, the hurtful words, thoughts, and actions of others don't impact us as much. Now that you know what self-esteem is and why it's important to talk about, we'll discuss some ways you can help build your self-esteem. 3 things we can try to focus on to help build our self-esteem are practicing what we're not confident in, figuring out what we like about ourselves, and understanding that no one is perfect. As we discussed, a big part of self-esteem is how confident we feel about doing different things. When you're confident that you can do things like math, reading, or talking to new people well, you'll have higher self-esteem. One way to build confidence in anything is to practice it. The more you practice something, the easier it becomes and the more confident you get. Think back to a time when you were learning a new skill of math. At first, you might not have felt very confident, but over time, the more you practiced, the more confident you became. Over time, practicing and gaining confidence in whatever areas you choose will help build your self-esteem. Figuring out the things we already like about ourselves is a big part of building great self-esteem. What I like to do is write a list of things I know I'm good at or qualities about myself that I already like. Your list can include all types of things, such as skills you have, physical characteristics, and personality traits. My list would be something like this. 1. I like that I'm good at making Dixon doodles. 2. I like that I have a big beard. 3. I like that I have a lot of friends. Over time, you can add to your list, and before you know it, you'll have a full list of things that are awesome about yourself. We can come back to this list and remember all the great things about ourselves, even if we're feeling down. If you're not sure where to start, ask a parent, friend, or family member for some ideas. Everyone has great qualities, even if we can't see them in ourselves all the time. The last important thing we can do to help improve our self-esteem is to remember that nobody is perfect. Things like social media make it easy to compare ourselves to others. Even in person, we might see things or the lives that other people have and doubt or feel bad about what we do have. When we remember that everyone has their challenges and that no one's life is perfect, no matter what you may see, that relieves some of the pressure we often put on ourselves. When we take this pressure off of ourselves, we're more able to accept our mess ups and challenges and still have high self-esteem. Throughout this video, you've learned about what self-esteem is, why having high self-esteem is important, and lastly about some ways we can work to build up our self-esteem. Remember, self-esteem has to do with the way that we feel and think about ourselves. When we have high self-esteem, we feel confident and care less about the unkind thoughts, words, or actions others might express. At the end of the day, no one else will really have control over our self-esteem. It's up to us. We can work to maintain and build our self-esteem by practicing the things we're not confident in, figuring out what we like about ourselves, and remembering that no one is perfect. That's all for our lesson on self-esteem. Until next time, remember, you're competent and capable, so always be confident. See ya!